wake up tired. Leaving coffee doesn't help. I wanna set my alarm on fire, but I know that it wouldn't end too well. Would somebody please just help me? I can't quite explain what's happening to me. What's happening to me? Day in and day out, body's aching all the time now. Every day feels like Groundhog Day. Got me feeling like I'm Bill Murray. Would somebody please just help me with figuring out what's happening to me? What's happening to me? Maybe it's 'cause I'm growing Would somebody please just help me with figuring out? And I can't quite explain what's happening to me.
Warning: this podcast features adult subject matter, adult language, and things not meant for children to hear. Viewer discretion is advised. You've been warned. What's up, all you cool cats and kittens? This is the Meter here from the I'm No Joe podcast, here with another episode for you tonight. I'm just fucking with you. Ha! Ha! Jokes! Jokes, folks. These are jokes. Live, everybody. We are live here on the I'm No Joe podcast channel. Thank you for tuning in for the latest episode here. We are back despite what we are currently referring to as the Backstreet Boys reunion because of the terminology that it actually refers to, which you can't really mention on YouTube anymore without getting your stuff taken down. So if in the future you hear us mentioning the phrase Backstreet Boys reunion, please know that we are actually referring to the global crisis striking the planet down, but we'd like to be able to actually address situations like that. So thank you everyone for tuning in to the latest episode of the I'm No Joe podcast. Despite the Backstreet Boys reunion, folks, we are still here. We are still kicking. We are back at it, and Backstreet Boys free. Thank goodness. Knock on wood. So, before we get into it here, I would like to take a moment to go around the room and thank the fine folks who are willing to endure these most reunionist of times that we are living in, and come with me to bring you fine folks a show to enjoy on a fine Thursday evening like this, exotic though it may be. First and foremost, this new kid who's trying so hard to be a big kid these days. So hard. We're glad to have him back, even though it's, during these quarantinist of times, though they may be. RJ, how you doing, kid?
You're a bitch. Despite that, it's good to be back, with my little beard. It's great to be back. Great to see all these beautifully bearded bastards' faces. It's going to be fun tonight. Thank you for having me, of course.
Absolutely. And then across the ring from him, as it were, we have got Fishtown's finest bum fight sorcerer, Ned Devine's handler himself, the one and only Nick Devine. How you doing, sir?
What's up? What's up? Guess we're gonna give the people some content. I've been staying safe from them back road men, and yeah, let's get into it.
Hell yeah! Thank you for being here as well, sir. And then, I mean, what kind of podcast would it really be if we didn't bring you the freshness that you all deserve, Mr. Fresh03 himself? How are you doing this evening, sir?
I'm just sitting here pondering a way to get into a three-way with Nick Devine and RJ.
I mean, I think a pint of proper 12 would beat you a pretty good
A
start.
little bit of proper 12.
Yeah.
Everybody getting a little loose, and then you just sneak on in there.
Yeah, a little
It's
VT goes a long way.
It's the advantage of being 7 years sober, boys.
That's right. That's right. Thank you for being here, sir. Always appreciate your opinions here as well. And then across the octagon from myself, as it were, more often than not, the Wednesday night compatriot, my combat shit-talking homeboy, the one and only Golf T Vapes himself. How you doing, TJ?
Well, I guess at least now we have something to talk about tonight.
I'm telling you, one way or another, the show goes on, good, bad, or otherwise. Just I hate when it's bad or otherwise.
We were gonna have either way. There was a lot of stuff to talk about.
I'm just
Either way.
saying, somebody's getting excited one way or another, apparently.
Yeah. And that's the tricky thing about it here. Before we get into it here, for those of you who don't regularly follow any other MMA journalism sources, like I've been saying throughout this whole Backstreet Boys reunion situation that we're dealing with here, the news doesn't stop. It might be a little bit rerouted because of the reunion, but it doesn't stop. The news keeps going. There are still things happening. Things are still being talked about. It's just with the situation as it is, sometimes it's a little hard to keep up. And there are definitely things, one way or another, that have been released over the last couple of days, week or so, since we've seen you fine folks. Today, specifically, has been a fucking avalanche of MMA journalism news. But before we get into the interesting bits for this afternoon, as has been told to me by folks way smarter than myself, before we get carried away, tell the fine folks where they can find more in case this particular episode isn't quite what they're looking for. And I have to admit, for some of you, it might not be. This one is definitely going to be heavier on the news and recent events than most in the I'm No Joe archive. So if you would like to take a peruse through our library of cacophony of shit talking, pretty much every social media platform, I'm No Joe, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Mixer for the video games, all at I'm No Joe or /I'm No Joe. To support, patreon.com/I'm No Joe. And if, understandably, these Instagram influencer level faces are just too fucking distracting for you, fret not, mon ami. I have you covered there as well. We do also produce the all audio version, distraction free, at anchor.fm/I'm No Joe for your listening pleasure. So, that out of the way, holy shit, do we have an interesting mountain of news to climb here, friends. So, we'll start at a nice level, sea level base camp. Everyone can breathe evenly. No one's stressing out. We're not getting hypoxia just yet. The foam hasn't started in the corners of your mouth. No freezing snot bubbles. Just relax. We'll fucking be okay. Easy entry level news. We got word from Cody Garbrandt this week. Although he did have medical issues recently, his kidneys are officially cleared by the doctor. He's ready to get back into action, and now not only wants to get back into action, he wants to drop down and fight Cejudo at strawweight. Cody Garbrandt wants to forever, for some fucking reason, try and outdo what TJ Dillashaw has even ever attempted. So of course it only fucking makes sense at this point that now that Cody is healthy and trying to get back into the spotlight, and TJ is clearly gone for at least a hot minute now, understandably, 8 more months to be precise before he's even eligible to come back. Cody is trying to step in and overfill his shoes like he really always has been trying to do. And now he wants to go after what TJ was trying to do with the fucking bantamweight and the, I mean, it really, if nothing else to me, makes Cody look forever to be that fucking younger brother who always wants to show his bigger brother that he can do the same stuff he can. He can lift the same weights that the big guys do. He can run that same lap, same time that all the big kids do, that he can keep up. It's cool. He can run with the older guys.
I have a strange little quip, not even about Cody here, but just thinking about this because of why TJ is on the sidelines. Could you think of a better time to have sidelined yourself by getting caught than when something like the reunion tour kicks off and everybody's forced to be on the sidelines?
Right? Nobody
Is
gets
there
to
a
fight
point
right
where-
now.
Yeah, I'm just saying, is there a point where like USADA or somebody steps in and says, "Oh well, nobody could fight during this time, so we have to tack 3 more months on"?
That would be.
I think that would be understandable.
Yeah, it would be fairly illegal of them to do so.
That's what I was thinking, is that there would have to be some kind of a clause, though, essentially a time served clause, because whether nobody was fighting or just he wasn't fighting, he's still serving time by not being eligible to fight himself.
Yeah, it's like throwing somebody in jail. Like if the person's just sitting there doing their time, you can't tack on extra time. You can't just be like, we don't like you. Here's another 6 months. You can't do that. It's not the fighter's fault that this is going on. It's part of the deal. It's not their fault that this is going on. You can't just be like, here's another 6 months, asshole, because I don't like you. You just can't do that.
Much as we would like to with some people.
There are a few people that deserve it.
He is one of them.
I would absolutely agree.
He probably does deserve like another 2 years added onto his sentence, but I mean that's neither here nor there. If he does his time, he has paid his debt to the MMA society, and he's free to do as he pleases.
Plus, there's a dialogue going on out there that USADA is not even testing right now, so nobody's getting tested.
It's because there's nothing going on.
Yeah,
Which, that brings up
We'll get into that later.
Right.
Which that brings up another good point. If USADA's not testing right now, how many people, once they start testing again, are going to start fucking popping hot?
Right. Thinking that they've got time to cycle through, and you don't.
There might be some Superman-looking motherfuckers coming
I'm
up here
just
a little
saying,
bit.
the picogram argument's going to come up a whole lot if that's the case.
I'm bored. I think I'm going to do some of these steroids now.
Right. Everybody going to come out of quarantine
I know
looking like
I got a
Yoel
month.
Romero.
I know I got a month. Let's go ahead and run a cycle.
Right.
Real quick, like
UFC's
give me
going to look
time.
like...
Give me time to flush all those leftover hormones out of my system that they keep testing me for. All testy like.
UFC's going to turn into a clone army of fucking Yoel Romeros by the time this whole Backstreet Boys situation is over.
Everybody just looking like the Incredible fucking Hulk.
Fucking ice cream cone shaped, no neck having motherfuckers. Shiny for no goddamn reason.
Like, where'd that physique come from, Aluminum Mike Perry?
Right? Motherfucker's nose got abs and shit.
Yeah. Come in looking like a fucking Bajoran off of Deep Space Nine. Just got
nose got a
abs
six
coming out
pack.
his
Yeah. I can see it.
Fuck you, Nick Devine. Fuck you.
Fucking guy.
We can't go a show without mentioning that bastard's name.
I didn't even bring it up.
He just needs to go jump in front of a truck so we can be done with this. That way I can say my final words and never have to talk about him again.
I mean, I get it. Everybody's got their celebrity crush. It's okay.
The only thing I want
Is it?
to see is him in between fucking two semi trucks.
Right. Oh,
It looks like we may have some insider knowledge on cycles. At some point, that might be a cool walkthrough.
right. No shit. No. Moving on from there, we did also find out that again, of course, as with everything in any type of news right now, thanks to the Backstreet Boys situation, once again ruining everyone's fucking good time. We did find out that they have now officially postponed the fight between Anthony Joshua and some soup can who I couldn't find anything relevant or interesting to talk about. That was originally scheduled to take place in June. They have now said that due to the Backstreet Boys backing up everything all right so hard the rest of the year that they are now struggling to try and get this back on the books at any point during 2020, that realistically the fight might just be scrapped because there won't be room for anything good to be scheduled once all the things that are taking priority, once this reunion tour simmers the fuck down. That something as ironically not marquee grabbing as an Anthony Joshua fight is gonna get pushed to the very, very back of the fucking line, and realistically, that means they're probably looking at early 2021 at the best case scenario to get that one booked. So, unfortunately, I know it's gonna break the hearts of at least dozen of people, but we aren't gonna get to see Anthony Joshua beat up some soup can this summer. Thanks to, again, Backstreet Boys ruining everything.
Can we get like just like a Gizzard Stew style soundbite and everything that involves the Backstreet Boys reunion? You just hit it and it's like Backstreet's back. All right.
We
Just-
really need
just
to.
whips it out.
I need to. That might be what I have to work on this weekend, is finding a nice
Just every
nice
story that's related to it, which is everything. Just
soundboard button to just whip that out real quick. But then along the news that are my anxiety is already flickering just reading the fucking notes going down this page. Moving towards that ever-present fucking peak that is the top of the shit mountain we are climbing in this particular episode. The first step we take in this upward trek, knowing that Khabib is stuck in Russia, they had officially no choice, I'm using air quotes for those of you only listening, but to dig into the well and find a backup to try and salvage the UFC 249 card. And they found someone. Not anyone that any of us were really looking forward to or excited about, but they found someone nonetheless, and the official posters and promos have now already officially been made for UFC 249 on April 18th for Tony Ferguson versus Justin Gaethje for the interim 155-pound belts.
and
That's
they did
good.
pretty much everything that we said they were going to do last week.
Yeah.
Basically, they almost followed our fucking blueprint to a T.
It's like they got a spy in here listening
There's
to us.
realistically so much of the news, so much of the news this week is things that are unfolding that we kind of hinted towards or just flat out said we thought were going to unfold last week. And sure the fuck enough, somebody's little raven has made it back and a bunch of interesting things have unfolded, like this one.
Well, do you guys watch Bad Guy Inc? Chael Sonnen?
Yes.
You know, he said, he had an
He
inside
had
source.
inside
It was me
source.
just telling him. It was me just telling him what was going to go on from what I learned from the show. I was his
See,
inside source.
I was afraid as much, but with Chael,
Uncle
if you
Chael.
call him out and you're wrong, you never get tickets to Submission Underground, so I couldn't risk it. And I'm sorry, guys. I want to see Craig Jones in the leopard print up close one day. Really, just cut me some slack. But moving along from there to other slight cringe-inducing news, taking ever yet more steps up that shit mountain, climbing to get to the top. the card for 249 is officially been released. Modified Tony and Justin instead of Tony and Khabib placement and all. And we have now officially got confirmation that we are getting Francis Ngannou versus Jairzinho Rozenstruik moved to the 249 card, but not any place you thought it was going to be. They put it as the premier prelim fight on UFC 249. Voldemort got placed against a fellow unranked fucking soup can in the people's warm-up fight position right before the co-main. And Francis Ngannou versus Jairzinho Rozenstruik, arguably the number one contender fight in the heavyweight division, is the premier prelim fight for some fucking reason, because confoundedly Dana White has decided that he is going to cram Voldemort down our fucking throats whether we give a shit or not. And once again, I believe this is the third time in a row where he ends up in a main card position similar to the one, if not in the exact same one he's in now, where there are much more relevant, much more impactful to the division, to the organization, shit, to the evening fights on the card that would have leaps and bounds been better fucking choices. But for some reason, not only do we get Voldemort on one of the most anticipated fucking cards we've seen all year, but he's in the fucking crown position for non-marquee fights. And, you know, the number one contender in that fucking division. Premier prelim. You kids.
Who the fuck is that guy?
Right?
I mean, it's certainly a way to make people tune into the fights earlier.
I see that aspect of it to a certain degree.
That's the only reason I can think of, is trying to draw people to those early prelims.
I got one other idea.
Okay.
And this is me playing as big a devil's advocate as I possibly can. They are afraid of a Derek Lewis fucking...
Yeah, Francis and Derek run back, especially after fucking Izzy and Yoel just ran back the fucking fight that made Derek and Francis look exciting. Yeah.
I'm saying that's the only thing I can possibly give them pass on, is
I can see
worried
that.
about that.
They gave him this chance before and he fucking blew it. They're going to put a safety net behind his ass this time. I get it.
But Rozenstruik hasn't blown that safety net.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
And that was me trying as hard as I can, but I look at Rozenstruik. Rozenstruik hasn't done that.
Yeah,
he's gone out to try to kill people. I mean, he made fucking somebody look like they were chewing on a stick of fucking dynamite, for Christ's sakes. I mean,
the highlight reel they ran on Instagram was either earlier this afternoon or late last night. The shots of Rozenstruik when he steps in with fucking Arlovsky and he puts him down with that fucking left jab that looks like a Bruce Lee 1-inch punch, and you see him just fucking lights shut off and his body goes fucking limp. Like, there's something in that motherfucker's hands. Like, that dude is a world kickboxing champion for a fucking reason, man. That's going to be an interesting fight, one way or another. Moving along that epic shit mountain, yet another step here. It's a two-piecer. It's a two-part. The first one, Dana White has confirmed that the location that he has planned to put on UFC 249, he has officially secured for 2 months consecutively to put on events every weekend, if possible. In the meanwhile, there is infrastructure being built on a private fucking island for UFC fights to take place on.
International waters, baby.
Yeah, I am not making a joke. This is not a giggle situation. We are one step closer to mortal fucking combat. Shang Tsung has his island. There will be tournaments weekly for the foreseeable future. It, like, I can hear the techno in the background, like, faintly in the speaker. Like, we're so fucking close, people.
It's gonna be like Bruce Lee. There's gonna be training fucking jacked Asians over there.
Oh, it's gonna be amazing. Just Dana White is finally gonna get his dream of at the end of every match. It's just like,
right? The decision. Your soul is mine. Oh no. Dana has confirmed that he has secured a private island in the middle of the ocean, completely separated from all other main bodies of land. There is infrastructure being built on it as we speak to hold events on an island that not even the fighters and staff, or cornermen rather, will be told where it is before they are flown there. Literally, this is some straight up fucking Dr. Moreau shit. Like, we're going to be hearing to plane. Like, we're getting fighters flown into the middle of an undisclosed island location for fucking tournaments now. This is gonna be interesting.
Fucking real
Well, I
life.
mean-
Right? Kumate's for reals though.
he's gonna be building his own genetically, like, all the blood that goes onto the mats, like Dana White's
Yeah,
keeping
taking
a
little
genetic
rags.
experiment. Like, he's finally gonna be able to build a John Jones that can keep himself out of
Yeah,
fucking
he's
trouble.
gonna smeagle away little samples of all these blood spots that hit the canvas. It's just
Like, it's gonna be fucking amazing. There's gonna be this champ that you just will never be able to beat, and he's
oh yeah.
like, he's not gonna be like in between rounds taking a rail of coke off of a hooker that he punched in the face this eye.
Yep.
He's just gonna be taking, you don't have to worry about that with this new John Jones.
A
It's gonna be
Francis
fucking
Ngannou,
fantastic.
yeah. A Francis Ngannou with 4 arms.
Right?
Oh,
Francis and Goro.
No, they've already got Goro, like
Francis and Goro.
fucking Yoel Romero, like that great big huge wingspan he's got. That's just the extra
Right.
fucking arms. He's already set.
Tigra, he loved you. Oh my
I'm gonna
goodness.
be able to unleash those
We should
bastards and just catch both your arms.
What a fun game would be is like seeing what fighters are which characters, like who's raiding. I don't know.
Who's raiding? At this point, probably Paul.
Yeah.
He's wise. He's older.
Yeah.
He can tell you. He can give you some life advice. He doesn't necessarily want to get into a fight at this point, but he will if he has to.
You imagine Conor McGregor's like Johnny Cage, Hollywood.
Oh, he's totally Johnny Cage.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
Absolutely.
yeah.
He's gonna start doing that sliding nut punch.
Yep. That wasn't Johnny Cage left-handed too?
I think he was.
I think
Yeah.
he was. I'm pretty sure he was left-handed as well.
I think
Let's see.
I'll have to research that one just to
I
make
was
sure.
gonna say we'll have to look into that.
Bring back Chuck Liddell, the Iceman, to play Sub-Zero.
Right? There's so many.
Well, I mean,
that could be easily
Dana's got
made
his
there.
DNA on file somewhere. Like,
I'm
he could
sure.
build a more perfect. Chuck
And even
Liddell.
if he doesn't, I'm pretty sure he's got a contract that says he could take it at any point until and after Chuck is dead. I'm pretty sure Dana owns every right to Chuck Liddell, period.
Chuck Liddell's already over on the island. He's been being experimented on since.
Right.
Like, when was
Chuck's-
the last time we actually saw
Chuck's been
sighting
laying
Chuck
bricks in
Liddell?
the sun for a week and a half now. People have been wondering where he's at, thinking he's on vacation. He's laying bricks in the sun on some fucking island somewhere.
He ain't laying bricks. He's the fucking foreman out there. He's just
Right.
pointing his finger and telling people what to do at this point.
Right, yeah, air quotes, laying bricks.
Laying bricks. He's sitting there going,
Right, slowly tipping
"Dude,
back.
put that over there."
Yeah, how do I get in this contender series? Well, there's a metric ton of bricks right there.
Right.
Go lay them. We'll find you a spot.
No shit.
So y'all, so this just clicked in my brain.
Uh-oh.
Y'all said Johnny Cage is McGregor. It's impossible. McGregor's wife doesn't fight. You need a couple.
What? Who was Johnny Cage's wife? Sonya
Tony
Blade?
Blade.
Yep.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Yeah.
I never knew that.
Well, depending on how
I
far
mean,
into the
Dana-
comics you go, at one point they split up and
Dana
she
could
dies
probably
and he goes back
forcefully
in
marry-
time.
He could probably forcefully marry
Well,
Conor
the-
McGregor to somebody.
Yeah.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
he's probably got that right. He's probably got the rights in the contract somewhere. Like he's a ship's captain at this point. Like he can just forcefully marry people.
Right. Just
I mean,
make
on
it a
that
thing.
island. On that island. Who
Yeah.
the fuck knows?
Sovereign Island. Yep.
Is your Backstreet Boys kicking in meter?
Oh no, it's just allergies. I don't have the Backstreet Boys. I'm reunion free.
Sure.
Good.
We're big fans of Lysol and hand washing and clean genitalia, general anti Backstreet Boys things.
Genitalia has to do with anti-Backstreet Boys. Got it.
The best way to keep the Backstreet Boys away from you is keep your genitalia clean. Why else do you need to wash your hands?
Fair enough.
That's the reason you sing Happy Birthday.
It's not touching your face that's the problem.
That's right. There's a reason you sing Happy Birthday twice. If you know what I'm saying. But moving along from there, another interesting piece. We did find out that in the preparation for the craziness that the Backstreet Boys has brought into all of our lives in the current situation that we're dealing with, in the slim down, as it were, to where we're at now, in order to get the Brazilian government to originally comply with the, as it stands now, last combat sport event really to be put on, not entertainment sport. Last combat sport.
It's still going on.
That's right. The last one to
every
be
week.
done down in Brasilia. They did have to manage to get the entire production crew and all down to a minimum of no more than 50 people in the building at a time. But he said it was doable. There was even options they could have finagled around and made it less than that. And that if push comes to shove, they can get it down to prospectively the 10-person limit. Again, they would be trying to play some of the loopholes and, keeping people outside the building so that, the capacity, I'm using air quotes for those listening, would still be low enough. It's interesting, but Dana says that he has got all the personnel from the UFC on locked, ready to go, including Joe Rogan for the commentary team, who we previously were told by Joe Rogan himself he would not be there. We have heard from Dana White himself since then. Joe Rogan is back on board. So I get it. It's a stressful thing. We're back and forth. He's here, he's not, he's here, he's not. It plays with your fucking heartstrings. Relax.
He said, "I bought a fucking island, bitch. You think I can't
Right.
afford Joe Rogan for
I'm
4
saying,
hours?"
yeah, Dana White shaved his head and bought a fucking hairless cat. He's like, Rogan will be there, ladies and gentlemen. He will
Yeah.
be there.
I mean, it's interesting to think about because we have all speculated on this on how it would be possible to run events about setting up remote cameras, remote mics,
Yep.
and you don't even have to have the commentary people there. You
Yeah,
could run
keep
it,
your
and
personnel
it would be near
off-site.
instant like that,
Yeah.
like Zoom. Yeah, like put everybody in a fucking Zoom meeting and there's your commentary team. And you run a high quality enough camera. Hope that the Brazilian internet can take it.
Right.
But I'm sure Dana would hijack like all the internet out of the favela.
Oh,
and,
I'm sure
just
he
hook
would
it right
take
up.
the fuck over. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, we've talked about it. It's not like it's an impossible thing to run an event with less than 10 people in the building at a time.
No, not at all.
Certainly not. You've got your cut man, you've got your coach, you've got your fighter. There's your 3 people you need.
Uncle Chael did it in a corn silo
So
2
it's
weeks
6.
ago.
Yeah. So that's 6. And then you have someone on site to work on the remote cameras if they go down. So you got a technician and you have someone running it. Then you're up to 8. And then you can have like a separate room where the people are running commentary. 2 people. There's your 10.
Yep.
And it's certainly doable. may not be the best looking event that ever happened, but it would be an event.
Right, and I think at this point that's kind of what we're leaning towards, really, from the promotion's point of view, is that, look, these might not be the prettiest things we're putting out here, but we're trying to put something out when nothing is out right now. Every major sport in every country across the globe is at the mercy of the Backstreet Boys right now. No one gets to have fun when the Backstreet Boys are around, and the Backstreet Boys are fucking everywhere right now. There are screaming girls ruining everyone's afternoon, planet wide. Really, you can't avoid it.
My only thing with all of this is this shit is gonna be like fucking Japanese fucking MMA, to where it is dead ass fucking quiet whenever they're fighting, because that shit's just ridiculous. Like, like, fighting is fighting, but if you don't have a crowd, that shit's just fucking weird.
I mean,
I agree.
that's the Japanese culture.
Yeah,
Though. Like Japanese pro wrestling's the exact same way.
everything's dead quiet.
Yeah, it's dead quiet until after the match, and then they applaud and they cheer, but they want to sit there and they want to see what's going on. I actually kind of respect that, because
I do too.
having been to MMA events and pro wrestling events in the U.S., like, people are dicks.
Yeah.
Like, they're throwing signs up and just being complete douchebags, standing up anytime anything happens. And one time I got so pissed I took a kid's sign away and ripped it up.
You did it.
Like, his dad was pissed. I was like, little fucker kept throwing it up. I paid $200 for this fucking seat. I'm gonna enjoy myself.
Right.
Dad kind of calmed down when I kind of pointed out the fact that, like him, I'd also spent $200 to enjoy myself. So fuck his kid.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
My kid couldn't enjoy himself because you whipped his little sign.
Right. Tough shit. Kid's
Shouldn't have
little
thrown
sign should
it
have
up
been
in
in his
Facebook
fucking lab.
times.
Yeah.
And you were asked not to do it.
Kids these days.
Yes, Larry.
Oh, but taking yet another poo-filled grasp, climbing towards the arguably disheartening peak of shit mountain we have to look forward to. We did get word of a 2-piece leak that has officially been confirmed. Building our way towards the peak of shit mountain, we discovered this week, as we pretty much guessed we were going to, maybe a little faster than we thought we were going to, but we guessed it and we were right. They found out for sure the UFC 249 is set to be tribal lands. So it's sovereign rule in California. The name of the place wasn't I Like It Like That. It was the Tachi Palace and Casino in California. Officially confirmed to be the host of UFC 249 and subsequently multiple events afterwards while we wait for Fantasy Island to be completed in the midst of this fucking Backstreet Boys reunion ruining everyone's fun. So we were kind of on the right track. We had a feeling when we talked about this, the fact that Dana was pushing on, that he was certain that he could get a place to do it. We had a feeling that if he was going to keep it in the U.S., it was going to end up on some sort of sovereign soil, somewhere where he would have, a little bit of leeway in how, when, where, and as everything unfolded. And we were right. Looks like they went to sovereign land in California, and they had locked up, or excuse me, to be using Dana's terms, secured, I'm using air quotes, the location for at least the next 2 months while they finish the infrastructure on Fantasy Island out in the middle of who knows where ocean.
It was actually, if you read the articles on what they were doing, it was actually probably going to work.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Because they rented the entire fucking place out.
They locked the whole thing out and then cohorted with the actual tribal council, because this is one thing that Dana White actually came out in a press conference and talked about. just because it is a tribal council and it is sovereign land doesn't mean it's completely devoid of any connection or any responsibility or any legality to the United States. It's still also, while being sovereign, responsible and reliant upon all laws of the surrounding area. So while they are sovereign from the United States, they're also still beholden to the United States and applicable to the laws of the United States. So they also, in doing so and holding in that sovereign land, had their own athletic commission, because it is tribal lands with a casino, with an event center that can hold and has held multiple fights. This is going to be obviously the first UFC event there, but in being able to hold athletic events in their casino, they had to establish an athletic commission.
Yep.
So it's all set, sanctioned, athletic commissioned, everything. This is how they made this lineup fall into place here. But before we get too much into that, there's more climbing up shit mountain we have yet to do, folks. But before we take another handful of poo, there are some good things that I want to talk about here before we get all dirty fingered. We did find out Uncle Chael don't give a fuck. We didn't just find that out. We knew Uncle Chael doesn't give a fuck. But we found out just how little of a fuck Uncle Chael gives. Not only is he not going to let the Backstreet Boys slow him down, he's not going to let the Backstreet Boys even phase him. Not only did he already put on Submission Underground 12 in a fucking corn silo, commentating by his goddamn self so that we had something to fucking watch. We got the announcement this week. April 26th. Backstreet Boys be damned. Submission Underground 13 is fucking happening. Not only is it happening, we're getting the matchup we've all been waiting for. 3 Submission Underground events in a row. We wanted it, and we didn't fucking get it. Uncle Chael's not playing anymore. The main event. There's no fucking tag team. There's no $25K on the line. There's no fucking trophy this time. This time we get the match that we've all been waiting for. Vinny Magalhaes versus Craig Jones. 1-on-1. There's no escape. There's no fucking partners. There's no cash. There's no fucking loopholes. It's just 1-on-1. Full time. Overtime rules. Full play. There's no escape. This is what it comes down to. If you've seen any of the last half dozen Submission Underground events, it's all been building towards this. These two have been so fucking close. They were literally in the octagon together in the main event 2 events ago. And Craig literally never got off the fucking fence to engage in the match. Despite all the shit talking going back and forth both ways, Craig never got off the fence. Well, we saw Craig go in against King Kevin Casey, and we saw what he did to a strong fucking grappler. But because he rode that fence, we still haven't seen him against a strong grappler and a strong jiu-jitsu player. And Vinny Magalhaes is absolutely both of those fucking things on a dangerous level. And that's exactly what we get to see. They're bringing back Jake Ellenberger. They're bringing back Mr. Van Zant. He faces off against Boogie Martinez this time. Oh yes, Uncle Chael has laid out a fucking splendor for the grappling gods and for all of us fans to enjoy on April 26th. Backstreet Boys be damned. I am fucking excited if you folks cannot tell.
I hope it isn't a corn silo again.
I do as well. I think, as weird as it seemed, it fucking worked. They had everything they needed, and Chael is absolutely more than enough of a one-man production to be able to handle the fucking commentary himself. Even making jokes at his own expense during his own broadcast.
Yep.
Like, who's better than him?
Undisclosed location, corn silo, Portland, Oregon, somewhere.
Somewhere. Yeah, somewhere.
Kentucky.
You never know.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, it sounded like a nice card shaping up.
It looks like it's going to be really, really nice. Especially, unfortunately, not even thanks to fucking Backstreet Boys, but just general bullshit. Half the fucking last card ended up pulling out within the course of the fight week itself. Literally, almost half the card fell apart. So, aside from nice to just be getting back to another event, getting another big event with such fucking predominance in the fucking field coming to the forefront is nice as well. Apparently the puppy is dreaming. Puppy's dreaming like a hot rod over here. Anyways. We did get another interesting piece of news unfold this week. Easy out, right? Turns out, about 4 a.m. Sunday morning, Anthony Smith was woken up to a home invasion. Literally, some 20-something-year-old likely hopped up on something very out of sorts individual had gotten into his house and was standing in his computer room screaming at the top of his lungs. Obviously, Anthony Smith, being the fairly well-statured fellow that he is, got up, his children being in the house, snapped immediately into fucking dad mode, and grabbed this fucking guy, got him to the ground, tried to figure out what the fuck was going on, wrestled, there was a knife involved, there was fucking craziness ensued. Luckily, it turned out the gentleman was alone, he was unarmed, the knife was actually brought in on Anthony Smith's side for protection, but there was a fucking crazy dude allegedly on something, whacked the fuck out at 4 o'clock in the morning, breaking into people's houses in the very nice neighborhood that Anthony Smith lives in. I think I would have to say, as strange as the story is, and you can go on and watch, he tells Ariel Hawani literally start to finish the entire breakdown of a fucking hell of a tale. As weird as it seems, based on the area that he lives in, I think realistically the guy actually probably ended up better for wear by going to Anthony Smith's house, because Anthony Smith was trained enough to just basically beat the shit out of this kid and hold him till the fucking cops came to get him. Whereas some of the other, how should I delicately phrase this, wealthy yuppie fucks that Anthony Smith lives around might have just shot this fucking kid where he stood. So, as strange as it is, Anthony Smith realistically might have saved this fucking kid's life by being the badass that he is and being able to just fucking hold this whacked out lunatic till the cops could come get him.
I think the funniest part about what you just said there was I distinctly remember listening to that entire interview from start to finish. And he said he's lucky because I didn't have my gun next to my bed. Normally, I sleep with it next to me on my nightstand.
Yeah.
He said it was the one and only time
That
he
wasn't.
doesn't bring his bag in with him. And the guy just lucked out. I think what was even crazier was he said he threw everything but the kitchen sink at the guy and couldn't put him away.
Couldn't phase him.
Look,
Yeah.
Anthony Smith fucking is an animal. Look,
On adrenaline rush, straight from waking up too.
yeah, like, you think about it, he's not one of the top ranked fucking light heavyweights in the world for no fucking reason. The dude is a legitimate killer.
So
That
my
kid,
only problem with this is Anthony Smith is born in fucking Texas. Why don't you got more fucking guns in your house?
It wasn't a matter of time to go find guns. His wife woke him up and literally said someone's in the house, and the guy was screaming 15 feet from where they were sleeping. He jumped up and went right to the dude.
RJ, this is the easiest way to put this is when shit hits the fan immediately, you don't know what you're going to do that first time. This is the first time this has ever happened to him. You don't get a chance. You don't get a chance to really think when something like that happens. You just have to go. So whatever your fucking instinct is, that's what you do. It's the same thing as like when you're overseas, you get shot at for the first time. You you kind of freeze up for a moment,
Yep.
and then you just go. You don't think about,
Hit the ground and then training
think
kicks in.
about going and grabbing a gun. You might just be thinking, "What the fuck is there first?" and then worrying about it afterwards after it's too fucking late. So it's for him. I can understand. Look, he probably had guns somewhere else in his house. He just didn't have a chance to get to him. But knowing that he normally sleeps with a handgun next to his nightstand,
Right.
the dude got lucky because it could have been anybody else that would have blown his fucking head off or splattered his guts all over the kitchen or wherever.
Yeah.
I think for me the strangest thing though is that he wasn't able to put him away with knees, elbows, fists, everything, ground and pound. He said he wasn't able to put him away. Even somebody who's hopped up, when you have a trained killer like Anthony Smith, he should be able to put anybody away.
Well,
PCP, yo.
Yeah, I was gonna
I was,
say,
just,
and
I was
then
about to say that.
and the best part of it is that he said after he had already threw everything he had at him and pinned the guy to the ground a second time, and then had his mother-in-law bring him the fucking butcher's knife to hold against the fucking guy. He couldn't hold the guy with a knee and one hand and a fucking knife. The guy got away so effectively, he had to slide the knife away and use both hands again to hold the guy after he had already beat the shit out of him twice and taken him down and pinned him down twice and then put a knife to him, and the guy still fought so fucking hard back against him he had to get rid of the knife because he couldn't hold the fucking guy.
I don't know how he didn't switch that guy off though. The guy had to have been on something.
When you listen to the story, you genuinely will appreciate the level of control and restraint that Anthony Smith exhibited in this moment, because just flashing through because I've watched that video like 3 fucking times now. It's a fucking genuinely unfucking believable video for those of you who are interested in watching. But as I listened to him say it the first time and couldn't help but fucking visualize myself in that situation in my fucking head, that knife went through that fucking kid. When he screamed Luke, nope. No, sorry. I'll write a fucking letter to your family, dude, but you're not jeopardizing mine at that point. Hats the fuck off to Anthony Smith for the level of restraint that he showed in that scenario.
I think for him, the restraint is there because he's trained.
He's a trained
very
motherfucker,
well
yeah.
trained, highly cute with that kind of thing. However, somebody else like you or I, fuck no. Yeah, that's the first thing that's happening, dude. I'm figuring a way to put you out permanently because you're not gonna harm my family. Fuck you.
That, and I'm a guy that I kind of have a lot of knives all over, always. Anybody who knows me outside of this particular performing center, I have a lot of sharp objects. I have an affinity for
I don't even
blades.
need a sharp object. I'll grab whatever's fucking close. If I've got a fucking wine glass, I'm breaking it off at the stem and plunging that motherfucker into you.
Right.
I don't
but,
care.
Yeah, no, I'm saying in the situation that Anthony Smith was in, that story would have had a whole different ending if it would have been one of us against compared to the way that it ended with Anthony Smith.
Well,
So
and you think like I think for him, there was also a silver lining in it for his entire neighborhood. Like he was talking about some of his neighbors. Like he got a couple of 80-year-old neighbors that lived next door.
yeah,
He could have wandered into their house, and they would have been ill-equipped to deal with that kind of thing. There was a little silver lining that he walked into the wrong house at the right time.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it saved that guy from probably fucking murdering somebody
Or getting shot by a crazy old man.
yeah. I mean, God knows he could have fucking put some 12-gauge buckshot through him in the neighbor's fridge, and
Fuck yeah.
But crazy.
Moving along from craziness to more fucking craziness, we got it plenty in spades here tonight, folks. We did, despite the Backstreet Boys just unendingly trying to ruin everyone's fucking fun, we are still getting fight announcements made because fights will still be coming back to happen regardless of how long the Backstreet Boys want to try and hold that fucking note. Eventually, they got to take a fucking breath, and when they do, we're gonna have some fucking fun again. They're still putting shit together. Obviously, dates might fucking change due to this fucking never-ending reunion, but things will inevitably get back to happening, and when they do, we know some of the things that will be happening in that time. A couple of them were announced over the last few days here, and I think they are absolutely interesting matchups that definitely warrant mentioning. The originally planned UFC Fight Night 172 slash ESPN Plus or slash fights on ESPN Plus 9 slash UFC Fight Night Omaha, which then has now been redubbed UFC April 25th because we don't know what the fuck is going on anymore. Just got 2 new additions to them prospectively. The first of which being the Italian stallion who can't quite catch traction like his clops are stuck in the fucking mud. Marvin Vittori himself being matched up with one Carl Robertson. And as if that interesting little playbill knock hasn't enticed you enough, they added with that announcement, we will also be seeing on that same card Ian Cutelaba returning to face OSP, Owens St. Preux himself. A pair of very, very interesting matchups. Hopefully we get to see them eventually in a place that's maybe or maybe not Mortal Kombat Island. Who knows? But as with, like we keep saying, most things, the Backstreet Boys have officially given us more reason to hate this fucking reunion. The president of Cage Warriors has officially announced that due to the reunion fucking everything up and we're not having anywhere to have any kind of fun, even over in Europe right now, that he has pulled a Dana White and secured himself a different, we're assuming it's different, he hasn't confirmed or denied yet, an island with infrastructure being built to hold Cage Warriors fights coming up throughout the course of the summer so that they can put on fights and still not jeopardize the fighters' health. Very interesting. I would say it's very akin to when a certain Irishman began wearing very nice suits to every press junket, and shortly thereafter, everyone who wanted to catch a certain degree of notoriety more than what they already had started wearing very nice suits to press junkets, and sure enough, it almost became the norm, if you will. Now it seems like if you're going to be a bald guy and get yourself an island to hold, potentially, allegedly, fights to the death on, that all the other now, combat sport organization running guys are going to shave their heads and find their own fucking islands and potentially hold their own allegedly fights to the death over in the other part of the world. So, hey, all I'm saying is, which channel is the UFC's island? Which channel is Cage Warriors Island? And are we really going to have to find a Russian stream to get the BKFC Island? Because I will, but I mean, it's where we're heading. It's like a weird game of Risk.
Well,
Everybody's ending up.
Cage Warriors was one of the last events that actually took place.
Yes, they were.
So,
They literally moved
they've
their
been holding
last
on.
minute. They moved the last event. Ironically enough, the weekend that the UFC was supposed to be in London, they were also supposed to be in London. The UFC canceled that card. It was the card after Brazil. Cage Warriors did not cancel their card. They instead moved it from London over to Birmingham before basically the rest of the UK shut down thanks to fucking Backstreet Boys. But yeah, Cage Warriors is following suit right along. They're trying to keep steam as well. Props to these organization owners. They are absolutely all out there legitimately trying to get us some fucking fights going in these crazy fucking times that we are living in. Before we get too far into Funsville, we gotta reach up and take another poop squish filled fucking hand towards the top of shit mountain. And that means giving you guys another piece of disappointing news, but I'd rather you hear it from me than that fucking weirdo down in the corner who's not going to tell you the whole goddamn story. As of right now, UFC 249 has no co-main event. One of the most anticipated fights of 2020, the rematch of Jessica Andrade and Rose Namajunas, is officially off. Rose Namajunas has officially pulled out for undisclosed reasons. The fight is officially scrapped. We have yet to find out if they were even planning a backup for Jessica or not yet. We just know literally at this point within the last 24 hours that Rose Namajunas is officially out. Ugh.
That's such a bummer.
It's kind of a weird double-edged sword. The MMA gods are so against Tony and Khabib fighting that they're willing to create a Backstreet Boys reunion to put the world on hold. Tony and Khabib get scrapped because Khabib runs away like a bitch.
Okay.
Backstreet Boys are still fucking going on. We try and scrap together what we fucking can. And then we lose Rose at the last fucking minute. So it's like at this point, the MMA guards are really just R. Kellying all over UFC 249. It wasn't apparently just Tony and Khabib that was cursed. It was any event that fight was attached to, it seems like, because one thing after another, after another, after another, 249 just is not coming together very well, despite, to be fair, the ridiculous amount of work that Dana White and the UFC crew have put into trying to force this event. Credit where credit is due. Dana and the UFC folks have been absolutely busting balls and grinding nuts to try and bring us a fucking event. I will absolutely give my hat off to that. They have been fucking going overtime to try and put this through for us. But as we get to the top of shit mountain, the poo between our fingers is just the reminder of how horrible the Backstreet Boys have made everything. Everything that we love, everything that we didn't love, just everything they touch, the Backstreet Boys ruin. And we got official confirmation about 2 hours ago. Well, I think actually at this point it's been about 4 hours ago. As of this afternoon, the head of Disney and the head of ESPN personally got on a conference call with Dana White and told him to stand the fuck down. This is no longer an option. Tribal land or not. And Dana, being the money-loving motherfucker that he is, saw his paycheck being completely snatched the fuck away from him and said that, alright, fine, we will put our toys back on the fucking shelf and we will sit. And we got official confirmation that UFC 249 on April 18th, the UFC April 25th card, which was previously the Omaha / UFC Fight Night 171 / UFC on ESPN Plus 9 / fuck that card, has now also been postponed, and all UFC events going forward to be determined at this time are now officially postponed indefinitely. Dana has confirmed the infrastructure on the island is still going forward. They still plan, despite the Backstreet Boys, to get fights going on the island as soon as possible and to hold fights on the island until such time they can bring the fights back to the States or safely somewhere overseas and set up a regular scheduled place to hold routine fights again. In the meanwhile, we are in a very precarious place because as of this evening, the only confirmed organization with any foreseeable events as of right now is Submission Underground with SUG 13 on April 26th. But even then, that's only one card on April 26th, with everything from Bellator on hold thanks to Backstreet Boys until the beginning of June, everything from Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship thanks to the Backstreet Boys officially on hold until the beginning of June, and everything from 1FC over on the other side of the world thanks to the Backstreet Boys officially on hold until, you might have guessed it, June. So we are now in a position that, despite sovereign land, despite having an athletic commission, despite doing everything by the fucking rules that have been laid out, literally a week before weigh-in night, we get the rug snatched out from underneath us on UFC 249, UFC Fight Night 171 / UFC ESPN on Fight Night Plus 7, 9, whatever the fuck it was, almost Omaha, but not quite anymore. Anyways, snatched away. At this point, Uncle Chael is the only one still able to do the damn thing. And it's a weird feeling.
All I'm saying is the Backstreet Boys better live up to their reputation, and they better fucking kill it, because
I mean, at this point, they kind of are.
yeah,
So-
I guess so.
I mean, the writing was on the wall Wednesday that this was happening, or was it Tuesday? Tuesday afternoon.
Tuesday afternoon, yeah.
When the ARP officially filed their
Condemnation, yeah.
condemned them, yeah. When that happened, like anybody who scrubs and goes over the line and works for Dana for this event,
Yeah.
like you are shit out of luck.
They made it real hard, despite the effort that Dana was putting forth. When the ARP came through and put their official condemnation on UFC 249, it made it real hard for anybody to be willing to sign on.
Yeah, and so that was the writing on the wall. And then Senator Shel Silverstein, I know that's not her real name, but she puts in a call to the head of Disney and the head of ESPN,
Right.
and says, "Stop this motherfucker!" Like things are good. Like at that point, I think that was yesterday afternoon is when that happened. Like, dude, Dana's not going to get to put this event on, and so it was just a matter of sitting back and waiting to see how bad the aftermath was of this. It was about as bad as I was expecting. I kind of thought about it last night. I was like, 249's not happening. They're probably going to scrub events till at least the beginning of May, more likely June, because that gives the disease cycle a month afterwards. And that's kind of the model we're seeing over on the other side of the Pacific for the Backstreet Boys reunion.
Yep.
They're starting to get back to people being able to go out in crowds and things like that over there.
Yep.
And we're seeing things kind of plateau here over, the people that are getting into the concert right now, it's kind of plateauing.
Right.
So there'll be less and less people getting into the concert here in the next little bit. And then obviously you give it time. For anybody that's curious about how this sort of thing works, you have to give it time. Otherwise, you risk a second Backstreet Boys reunion.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
And at this point, we're all really hoping that it's an NSYNC reunion next time, because
Right.
JT fucking kills it.
hell yeah. I mean, he's bringing it back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
bringing sexy back.
So
People are crying rivers.
what people what probably got them, like, okay, so putting on an event with 10 people, you could do that. You could keep just 10 people in a building, whatever, you could do that. But like, I still go to work every day with the Backstreet Boys in town.
Yep.
Me too.
And it's so hard to not be in contact with 10 people the whole time. Like, I don't touch anything, I stay away from people. So now you're thinking about, okay, the fights you could do probably 10 people if you are really organized.
Right.
But if you're building an infrastructure or whatever, there's no way 10 people are doing that in that amount of time. So it's probably more people that have to build it, and they're probably looking at that like, there's no way you're getting 9 guys to build a fucking UFC arena.
Right.
There's no way. So there's a bunch of shit going on that, that not everybody's knowing about, that you are putting people at risk, which, I think it should be up to people, but I get it. I mean, they don't know what's going on, and it's the unknown that they can't risk.
I think at this point, the best hope, at least from what I can tell, because at this point, the way that the world has gone crazy, I'm almost religiously watching these fucking morning press conferences that all of them are having. That Cuomo, fucking Cheeto Fingers himself, Inslee, fucking the whole kit and caboodle, the whole fucking Willy Wonka crew, every morning is doing their own fucking press conferences. The only thing that we've really got at this point, as far as like concrete hope goes, to try and form some sort of future plan semi-reliably off of, is that the place that the tour started, much like the Olympics, 2 months after it's over, life is starting to get back to what it was before the tour came through town. Granted, it's, there's still messes to be cleaned up and fucking God knows how many porta potties to be scrubbed, but now that the tour has been gone for a little bit, the flowers are starting to come back. It's one of those scenarios like the fish are swimming in the canals again and the deer are coming back to the forests and shit. Like, we're starting to see that, again, like the Olympics, 2 months after it's gone, life finds a way.
Yeah. So, I mean, we can circle back to the story about what the precautions that Dana had in place for that casino.
Right.
Like, they had rented the entire thing out. Nobody from the outside was getting into this thing. It was going to be a closed event.
Yep.
The one thing you might have to worry about that obviously was the security, keeping people out. And
Right.
I get the risk. I get the risk. But if you were able to pull this off, you have adequate security to stop people from getting in. People were getting tested on the way in. Then you were secluded in your room until there was a running track you were going to be able to go use.
Right. The warm-up time. Yeah.
Yeah, but you had, like, fighters had in their rooms, like saunas. They had workout equipment. They had places to go and train, to keep doing their weight cuts. So they had everything set up to be in an enclosed bubble. And it really, if Dana was able to pull this off, which, with the money that he has to throw around, it's like Eric Bischoff and WCW back in the day. Like,
right. Yeah.
Go out and just
Make
chuck some
things
money
happen.
at something
Yeah.
that happen. So, he had everything. He had everything set up, and I got, you don't say it often, but God bless Dana White for working his ass off to try and make this thing happen.
Yeah.
And if he was able to pull off everything that was on the list of things that he was talking about earlier this week, when the event location got leaked, which he needs to go behead someone with a katana, whoever leaked that fucking location.
Somebody's about to get their fucking credentials permanently revoked, because,
Yeah.
and to be fair, when he first said, this is what we're working on, and they asked him, why won't you tell us where? Literally, Dana's fucking reason when he said he's working on something was because as soon as you guys find out, somebody's going to go out of their way to try and ruin it.
Mm-hmm.
Sure the fuck enough, Tuesday fucking comes out where we think it is. Before the end of the day, more than enough fucking people had come out and confirmed a source somewhere and knew where the fuck it was. Before Wednesday was over, you could fucking tell just by the silence coming out of UFC that the shit had already started rolling downhill. And
That's when the ARP stepped in. As soon as it was leaked, the ARP said it's in the U.S.
oh yeah, we've got an opinion to fucking say on it. And as soon as they chimed in, you immediately got that fucking overbearing sense of dread that here it fucking comes.
Yeah.
It's like sitting at a racetrack and looking at rain clouds overhead. Like, you might not see a drop on the fucking pavement, but you know they're not about to go 200 fucking miles an hour with a chance of fucking one hitting the track.
This is the one time Dana has learned that he does not have the biggest dick in the room.
Right.
Because
Bob Iger went ahead and
Mickey Mouse stepped in there and showed him, hey, no, you don't.
Yeah.
So,
I agree.
So my thing, if with the talk of Mortal Kombat Island,
oh, it's gonna be so glorious.
if Dana White can pull this shit off, Meter said earlier, the money-loving Dana White. If this comes back, because they're always talking about this coming back temporarily in the fall of later this year, or if this sticks around a little bit longer than everybody's anticipating, who says that Dana White's not going to be the money-hungry motherfucker that he is? And, hey, Bellator, 25% of revenue of people watching this, hey, BKFC, why don't you come over here too?
Yep.
Ryzen, you wanna join?
Clean up after yourselves.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah, we've got cameras. Mop up.
Hey, you know what? You bring up a good point there. Maybe this is that point where we'll finally get some cross-promotional fights because of it.
Yeah, that's a good possibility, especially if Mortal Kombat Island is somewhere close enough to Europe that, I don't know, maybe the president of Cage Warriors might be considering using it, and if there's already infrastructure being set up on an island where fights are already being taken place, then that means that, that's less work that's required, and if everyone splits the cost of the island and the upkeep, then that means it's cheaper for everyone to put on events on this island, and if everyone's already coming to one island from all these organizations to put on an event anyway, then it might be easier.
I'm pretty sure that has a lot to do with it, because if you go back last week, or when he first said we're building the island, he said it's specifically for the international fighters, because he had this
he doesn't
place
want to
in
tap
California
out.
secured for 2 months. He would wear out the U.S. fighters because they couldn't get the international fighters in, but they could get them into this international waters island.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't.
That means probably somewhere in the Pacific.
Yeah,
But
that would be my guess, because that's more centralized to the rest of the world.
Yep.
mhm.
So one thing I was thinking, back to the Rose Namajunas thing. Just hopefully she's all right. Because the first thing I thought was that they tested all the fighters because of the time that it happened. I was thinking that maybe they tested all the fighters, and maybe she came up to have Backstreet Boys in her blood. I don't know how to word that. I don't know. She had the case of the Backstreet Boys, and they said, "Listen, you got to pull out. We could do undisclosed reasons." But hopefully, she's good.
I mean, if you get tested and they show you the meaning of feeling lonely, you really don't have a choice. You're down by yourself for at least 2 weeks, so you'll know the meaning.
She is good. I actually saw a little snippet about why she pulled out. It's no longer undisclosed. She had 2 family members apparently that were trampled due to this Backstreet Boys reunion that just didn't make it out of the trampling. So that's why she's no longer with us.
That sucks. That sucks, man. I hate to hear it. Well, and the really shitty part is that as fucked up as it is, we're not just looking at the immediate future kind of, as horrible as it is to say, as predictable as it may have kind of felt, we're getting into that point now where this reunion isn't just fucking up tomorrow's plans or fucking up next week's plans. Not only did we get 249 and then ESPN plus Fight Night 171, what used to be almost Omaha but isn't quite, not anymore, used to be canceled, and then we ended up getting 250 is in question now because it's in the beginning of May, but it's when the reunion's supposed to be slowing down, but we don't have anything in confirmation yet, but we still don't have the place in California anymore, and we don't know when Mortal Kombat Island's going to be ready. What we did find out, though, is that as of Wednesday, regardless of the official kibosh being put on events going forward, May 2nd's UFC 250 card is officially, at this point, already cut literally in half. We found out that due to Backstreet Boys affecting travel now, basically the entire country of Brazil is like, bye. They're not letting anybody in or out. And that means that we lose Jose Aldo, we lose Caitlin Vieira, we lose Shogun and Nog, we lose Betch Kohea, we lose Augusta Saki, and we also lose Carlos Felipe. Just from one fucking card. Because of the Backstreet Boys.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me why we can't be there where they are. There's something missing in my heart, and it's UFC 250 on top of UFC 251. Followed predominantly by what used to be and almost isn't anymore UFC Omaha / Fight Night 171 / UFC on ESPN plus 9. It sucks. And then the thing that sucks even more is that we found out that because all of that was officially thrown out the window thanks to travel restrictions, in the season of fights that don't make fucking sense, after one fight that didn't make sense gets scrapped, we got another fight that didn't make sense. When we found out that the Jose Aldo and Henry Cejudo fight wasn't going to happen on 250 because of the Backstreet Boys locking up Brazil, they officially confirmed Dominic Cruz versus Henry Cejudo for the 135 belt at UFC 250 before the Backstreet Boys had also subsequently then shut that down thanks to the craziness that is that time. But as if that wasn't enough, they followed that up with an announcement that was immediately retracted due to the fucking Backstreet Boys pulling the rug out from underneath us. We found out that we were, past tense, originally going to get to see on April 25th on the what used to isn't quite anymore, the Omaha / 171 Fight Night / UFC on ESPN plus 9 but isn't anymore, card that was going to be in California and now also isn't anymore. We were going to get to see Hannah Cyphers come back to try and get some redemption from that fucking bad decision we saw her in again in the last time she was out, to come back against the strangest, most fluctuating accent in the UFC, Mackenzie Dern. But again, wasn't meant to be.
Mackenzie Dern just had a baby, right?
Yes, she did. This is going
But
to be her first one back.
I'm going off to fight. Ain't no lie, baby. Bye.
Right?
Yep.
And the ironic bit is that despite before the baby having more than a couple of issues making weight, she's coming back after the baby and still not going to bantamweight. She has still decided she is going to stick with the fucking strawweights.
Yeah, Mackenzie Dern.
Or flyweights, rather. Yeah, she's still gonna try and stay in the fucking flyweights for some fucking reason when she arguably was almost essentially told go to fucking bantamweight before she had the baby. Now she's back and she's gonna try and stay. So again, this is one of those situations that Dana said all these fucking fights that are being postponed will take place whenever the fucking reunion is over and we can get Mortal Kombat Island up and running, or get a place in California that aren't gonna get fucking ringside physicians screaming about it. We're gonna see it eventually. So
You know, it's the Mackenzie Dern thing bothers the piss out of me for one reason. Take a look at Mackenzie Dern. Anybody, I don't care who you are. There's no reason she should be in that weight class for one reason and one reason only. You can look at her. She's way too top heavy for that division. The only way you're going to lose that extra 10 pounds consistently, lop them motherfuckers off.
Do it. Do it.
That's all I'm saying.
What one thing's good though, when the fights do come back, we're gonna have some awesome fucking cards. I'm not saying that because of Mackenzie Dern. I'm just saying,
right,
I'm saying in general.
right.
To be honest, I don't know that we will.
Well, that's the thing, is that
Is-
we've got so many of these fights, and that was one thing that Dana actually made a point to address in his little, I don't even know what you want to call it, press tour, circuit junket, whatever the fuck he had today. He had like a little mini fucking White House briefing, and then went and, of course, immediately went over and did a little mini breakdown interview with Brett Okamoto. But he specifically addressed that every fighter who is being put out because of this fucking reunion, be it the last couple that were last minute changed, be it the next 4 or 5 that we already had locked up and ready to go that are now postponed until who fucking knows when Mortal Kombat Island's going to be ready or not, or if we can get back to fucking Tachi Palace in California, or what, however it's going to be. He said he still guarantees every fighter is still going to get their guaranteed amount of fights for the year in this year, whether that means that they will have to be ready faster than they traditionally would have been or not. He said when things get back into full swing, we will have full cards every week for the rest of the year to make up as much of the fights as we can in this calendar year. So, I mean,
That's not even possible. Like,
Unless
because
they
what
do
if there's
multiple
guys that haven't
fights.
fought? What if
That's
there's
what I'm
guys
saying.
or girls, that haven't fought yet this year?
Here's what I see is the fact that the government knows when they're probably going to start allowing people to go back to normal. Like they're aware of what the restrictions need to be. They've like Donald Trump has told the NFL, you're going to be back to regular business here, here short.
yeah.
I'm sure he briefed Dana White with the same thing, that you're going to be back to business here shortly. And what that does is it allows Dana White to hush, like, hey, yo, you got a fight coming up in 2 months. That's all I'm saying. You might want to get ready for that.
Right.
It allows him to put something like that out to his fighters, and that allows him to push cards back and then fill in holes that he had on like the Fight Night cards that he
Right.
had on ESPN Plus cards. It allows him to fill in all those holes. So it's in my mind, it's certainly possible. It's certainly possible that everybody's going to get their fights. Obviously medical suspensions, things like that are going to throw things off. But I think it's certainly possible at this point, if everything goes exactly like it's supposed to, which Lord knows it probably won't. It's certainly possible in Dana White's mind that he's going to be able to pull this off. And if he does, good for him. But the Backstreet Boys, they got a way of coming back around. So we'll see what happens. But I think it's certainly possible for him to live up to his word. And if he's not able to, he'll take care of his guys.
Well, and you also have to think.
He's shown that he will take care of his guys if it's something out of their control.
Right.
So.
Well, and you also have to keep in consideration that even though I understand it's not ideal, and it really isn't, we have seen on more than one occasion that specifically on not a fight night, but a pay-per-view card, where we get an early, a prelim, and a main card, we've had 17, 18 19, 21 fight full event cards take place before. And
Yeah.
traditionally, most of those cards have ended up being that large and that long because there was a lot of filler. Now we're at a point where if you're a filler fight, chalk it as
Yeah.
a fucking loss. Like, if you're unranked at this point, if your fight doesn't shake your division up, you're benched for 20. Take 2020, work on you because you're not getting back in the fucking octagon in front of a fucking camera. At this point, we've got too many fights of ranked fighters, of fights that are potentially ranked fighters that will shake up too many different divisions. I think we've got more than enough chances to make big cards going out for the rest of the year. We can get all the big fights still in. But, you know, again, it's one of those situations where we're going to have to sacrifice the little guys. We might have to move, you know, the traditionally what would have been a fight night card to like a contender series Tuesday night fucking YouTube, you know, premiere or something like that. But I bet we get all of our big fights throughout the rest of the year.
I don't think so. I think
Right.
the little guys are still going to have a place. And I think those are going to be on those fight night cards. What they're going to end up doing is they're going to stack the pay-per-views. And then instead of having one a month like they have been doing, we're probably going to see 2 or 3 a month.
Every
the rest of
others.
and then those in between ones like the every others, you're still going to have a stacked card. And I have a feeling that since Mickey came in swinging his dick all big, Daddy Dana's going to be a little pissed off and hit him in the balls and tell him, look, we need a bigger time slot on ESPN.
Right. Yeah,
so,
we're going to need a little more
talk-
something to work
Mickey,
it back.
talk to your ESPN crony that you have over there.
Yeah.
We need an extra 2 hours so we can do a proper undercard and
Right. Plus
And-
promo budget. Plus, yeah. I could see that as well. I can see that as
I
well.
think what they might do is they might lengthen some of those what would normally be a 4-hour time slot into a 6-hour time slot for
Right.
the
To add extra.
cards.
And,
To
yeah.
add those extra 2-3 fights in or 4 fights per card, and that might get us there. I doubt that we're going to see any breaks once this gets back into the full swing of things. You're not
No.
going to have an off weekend anymore.
Not-
for the rest
not for the rest of
last
this year.
We had a few here and there, but the rest of this year, enjoy your free
Never
weekend.
again.
Not watching
Never
fight.
again, Meter.
Get out 'em.
Yeah. Yeah. Weekends are pretty much locked up for 2020 at this point. Once everything gets back into full swing.
You never know. They
Yeah,
might be
I mean, I
opening,
said-
opening the
we'll-
prelims with Cowboy Cerrone versus Diego Sanchez or something.
Right.
I mean, I think beginning in May you'll start seeing the arena free fights again.
Right.
Or just the octagon, and then you'll start seeing them be able to do crowds like June-ish. So
I
things-
think that's about right.
yeah. So I think it all is what it is. The Backstreet Boys, they ain't never gonna let us forget this one.
Unfortunately. But, what are you gonna do? We
Wait,
work with what we
cut.
got.
And if you think about it, that's just in time for NFL training camps.
Yeah.
I'm saying there's still some options for things to work out interestingly enough as it all unfolds, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit more of a sad note here. Again, I try and make a point, and I realize that I say this every time that I do this, and I apologize for that, but I don't apologize for doing this. One of the reasons that I do this show isn't just to talk about cool fights or to talk about a cool move that somebody did or something. I legitimately do this show to try and present to anyone who's willing to watch or listen legitimate news, legitimate journalism, things that take place in the world of combat sports that might not otherwise get as much coverage. I realize that there are obviously other options out there for sports journalism in the combat sports world, but I also watch them as well. I try and make a point to cover stuff you won't see everywhere else. Yes, you might see some of the things that I mentioned on one show, and some of them might be on another show, but I make a point to try and cover everything that everyone doesn't. And one of the things that unfortunately ends up being more often than not is the less entertaining, the sadder, the darker side of the combat sports world. And this is one of those situations here. I'm not trying to bring this story up because I want to be the only place covering it. I'm not trying to bring it up because it's trendy or because it's fucking topical. It's actually kind of the opposite. This is one of those things that you don't hear about enough, and I feel like it deserves to be in the headlines, and it deserves its moment in the news, in the world of journalism. It deserves to be talked about here. What I'm referring to specifically is Ohio resident, Bellator veteran Isaiah Chapman was officially shot and killed Tuesday evening in his hometown now of Akron, Ohio. They arrested the individual who shot him. He was hanging out literally on a street corner at 10 o'clock at night, got into a fight with someone and was shot in the chest and pronounced dead before he made it to the hospital. Obviously, our thoughts are with the family. This is never how you want to talk about a fighter, but again, this is one of those things that this was a human being who put his life on the line to entertain us in an octagon, and he's not here anymore. And I feel like that for whatever it's worth, his life means enough to mention that it's not here anymore. And I just wanted to take a moment to give our thoughts out to the family of Isaiah Chapman. It's a tragic event, and it should never be taken lightly. This is never the kind of news we want to report, but this was a person who literally put his life on the line to entertain us, and his life is gone now, so I feel that he deserves his moment here. So, unfortunately, goodbye, Mr. Chapman. Now, that being said, there is a lighter note that I want to end on here. We did get some news that isn't quite so sad, isn't quite so downer. We did get, I don't want to call it a comeback story because it's not quite that. It's kind of an ironic twist in the world of MMA. This is another one of those stories that, this one's kind of the opposite. This one got more coverage than most, but for the wrong reasons. We found out today that it is official, and because, again, fucking Backstreet Boys, things had to be moved around and things have to be fucking rescheduled, but it's been rescheduled, and this one is far enough out, it looks like it might not be impacted yet. This might potentially be the first fight we get to see on Mortal Kombat Island. What I'm talking about here is the now rescheduled match against Alistair, the Reem Overeem, against the return of Walt Harris. This is one of those fights we literally debated because we didn't know if we were ever going to see this man back in the octagon again. This is one of those situations where just hearing that Walt Harris is not only considering it, but back and ready to be back is a testament to the will that a human being possesses. It's a little piece of example to show you that no matter how loud and auto-tuned the Backstreet Boys might be, they cannot break human will. The fact that Walt Harris is willing to get up and help lead the fucking charge to get us back towards some semblance of normalcy, despite all the bullshit we're dealing with, is just a little reminder that I think that everybody listening can use, that even though shit is crazy and it looks like it's gonna be crazy for a minute, we're gonna get through this. Regardless of how crazy it is and how crazy it seems, we're gonna get through this. There is a light on the other end of this tunnel, no matter how long that tunnel might be. We'll get there. We got more than enough people to help us do it. We just have to wait out the bullshit in the meanwhile.
Can we take a moment of silence for Alistair Overeem? Because Walt Harris is going to be a big problem
My
coming back after
God,
that.
is that going to be a fucking ouch situation when that fucking comes through?
Don't get me wrong. It could go one or two ways. Either he he won't be emotionally stable enough to manage it,
Yeah.
or there's going to be a new fire that people have never
Focus.
seen in Walt Harris before,
Yeah.
where he's really going to hurt people. And don't get me wrong, if that's the case, it's going to be fun to watch. I just feel bad for anybody who's on the other side of that wrecking
Oh
ball.
yeah. Walt
And
Harris was a
this
problem to begin with. If this,
Alistair Overeem.
yeah.
Overeem just took one of the gnarliest knockouts we've seen in a long time.
But
He was winning that whole fight.
Yeah,
though. I
he was
wanted to
doing
say
well.
that point.
he was
winning
doing
that whole
good.
fight.
He was doing real
was-
good.
He was, in my opinion, he was winning that fight until he caught the piece of dynamite.
That
That's
fucking
another reason,
shot.
kids, do not smoke. That shit's bad for your health. Somebody might put a piece of dynamite in your mouth and your shit will just blow up.
I mean, and trust me,
But-
we cannot all afford the fucking plastic surgeon that Alistair Overeem could, because not everyone's shit will unfucking furl that quickly and that cleanly.
I'm just impressed. I didn't think it would be this soon that we would see Walt Harris back, if at all.
I
To be
agree.
quite honest, and maybe this is part of that. Life must go on. I must drive forward, if not for myself, but for the memory.
Right, and that's actually one of the things that we talked about when we first heard the tragic news about his stepdaughter, when everything was finally unfurled and the news was confirmed and set out. We were pretty much sure that this was either going to be the end of him, because there's no coming back from that, or B, he was going to come back better than he had ever been, because that's going to become his new driving force, his new focus, his new focal point. And like we were saying, Walt Harris was a problem to begin with. And now he's back, and he's got what seems to be one of the strongest, most unimaginable driving forces behind him there is. Reem is in a bad spot, man. And
That's gotta.
as strange as it is, I almost feel like Overeem is one of the few people who are capable of handling that situation no matter how it goes. Because even if it doesn't go well, he's got enough granite that he can take a shot. We've seen it. Even if he goes out, he comes back and he's cool. You blow his face up, he'll stitch it back up. A week later, he'll be doing commentary in a fucking tuxedo. Reem can take it if shit goes sour, and it might.
I just feel for him. I honestly feel bad because Walt Harris he's gonna have a driving force and a new chip on his shoulder that'll never be filled.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. And but at the same time, Walt Harris has said that the fighting, the training, the whole routine of the fight game is what helps keep him focused, keep him on the right track. I can see this being real good for him as well. If essentially this is his therapy. The getting in the gym, the going through fight camp is what is normal for him. And everything that has been going on has been, on top of obviously the tragic result, has been what has kept him so out of place. Now he's got a chance to get back to what was normal for him with that much extra fucking drive behind it. That's scary. It's fucking scary, man. But that's what we got this wonderful evening for you, folks. I will say this before we take a moment and go around the room here. There are some strange things potentially afoot for this weekend. Obviously, we've got no combat sports coming up this weekend. We've got no combat sports coming up next weekend. So here at the I'm No Joe, we're working on a little something to try and help hold you folks over. I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag just yet because we still got some fine-tuning to work. There's still some infrastructure being built on our island, as it were. But we're working on stuff. Just know that we're working on stuff, folks. And keep your eye on the I'm No Joe social media, the Instagram, the Facebook. We'll keep you posted as things unfold. But we're working real hard, is what I can say. We're working real hard behind the scenes here. We've got our own commission. We've got things lined up. We're trying to put some things together for you, folks. But that being said, that's all we've got for this particular episode. So I would like to take a moment, go around here, and thank these wonderful shit talkers for taking a moment out of their evening to come and help me put this fucking craziness together for you fine folks. So, I mean, I know you're new and all, but if folks want to learn a little more about you, how are they going to be able to find out more about RJ?
Fuck you again, dude. God damn it. Dude, look. Don't make me do what I did to TJ with the fucking Green Bay sucks thing on the fucking outros again.
Oh, kids these days.
Fucking Kansas City Chiefs garbage.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you over that Super Bowl win. What was that?
Oh, I couldn't hear you over the undefeated shit that my team pulled in the fucking 70s, bitch.
I remember my first beer.
I don't. Thank Meter and the guys. Thank you for having me here tonight. Like always, it's a great time on I'm No Joe. People that want to come and talk some shit. RJ __ vapes as usual, and RJ MMA official on Instagram. Go ahead and look that shit up. Hit me up. Talk shit. Talk MMA. Talk about how I don't deserve to fight because I'm a fucking redheaded ginger bitch. I mean, hey, just whatever.
Yeah, whatever works. Thank you for your time,
Like,
sir.
how does Shang Tsung work? Like, he's always like, your soul is mine. Like,
Yeah.
RJ doesn't have one. Like, he could be like an undefeated monster in the
He
world
could
of
be
MMA.
he
We
could
don't
be the
know.
champion. He could be.
We don't know, or he could just never get off his ass. Like,
It's a legitimate possibility as well.
there's legitimate possibilities on either side. I believe in
Absolutely.
you, soulless bastard.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
On
sir.
that note, though, if for some reason folks need a little more cluing in on where they can get a good seat for the fights up in the PNW, how might they get a hold of you, oh freshest of ones?
You can find me on my couch in about 20 minutes, passed out. Other than that, youtube.com/fresh03. Come on by, hang out with us. We are doing what we call a wishing well show on Saturday, where we create recipes for e-liquids for people for donation, and we have you donate to a specific cause. So we're doing that this weekend, Saturday on my channel. We'll be doing it for a couple hours, so hope to raise a couple $100. And it's a rough time for everybody. So I know that not everybody has a little bit of extra bankroll sitting around. Completely understand. If you don't have any money, share around that we're doing the show. Maybe someone will stumble in and help us raise some money for a good cause. So swing on by, and I think it should be fun. A little bit of a distraction. Always running distractions on my channel. So
Hell yeah. Well, much appreciated for your time. Thank you very much, sir. And now we come to that moment where we've got our bottle of wine, we've got our $5 bill, we've got our LED flashlight. Somebody's looking out for the cops. We need to know where in Fishtown the bum fights are going to be. Nick Devine, you're our only hope.
I am n.divine83 on Instagram and YouTube. I do videos over there, vaping related videos, and also just a bunch of talking shit. But if you want to talk shit about MMA or just plain old talk shit, then you could contact RJ Vapes on Instagram.
RJ __ vapes.
Two
Yeah.
underscores, that's right.
Let's make sure that we get people pointed in
Yeah.
the right direction for their
right.
group shit talking. Just get in there and just hose him down like it's
I
bukkake.
want the DMs flooded.
Yeah.
That's right.
So I do appreciate anybody watching, anybody listening, and especially, if you already knew that the fights weren't going on, I'd really appreciate you watching and listening. And don't get any Backstreet Boy droplets in your mouth. Wear a fucking mask. Take
right.
care of yourselves and have a good weekend.
Thank you for your time, sir. Much appreciated. And now, as if they needed the warning, I'm going to give it to them anyway. If you're fucking around in Green Bay, there's one man you're going to end up finding, and it's probably not going to be in your best interest. But I'm going to give you the warning anyway and tell you how you can get a hold of him if you want to, preemptively plan your death.
They know where to find me. Right here on the YouTubes, Golf T Vapes, 9:30 Central Time on a Wednesday. For you fuckers out on the East Coast, that's 10:30 Eastern Pacific. That's 7:30 Pacific time. Look at that. We know time zones here. You can also catch me on the Instagrams. I don't post on there anymore, but you can message me on there and I will gladly talk to you. Yeah. Thanks for hanging out and chilling with us, even though there's some strange fucking times and some really bad concerts going on right now. Hang in there. Don't do anything stupid and wash your nuts.
Good way to go. Thank you very much for your time, sir. So, for those of you tuning in, I have to say, we try and do our best for you. If it was good, we ask that you give us a thumbs up. If we entertained you, if we made you chuckle a little bit, maybe subscribe. We try and do this every week, and we try and keep it entertaining. If we brought you the news that you just didn't see anywhere else, if we gave you some point of views that you haven't heard before, maybe lit a couple light bulbs over your head for you while we were doing the show, share an episode of this for us. We're trying to grow the damn thing, and we'd appreciate it. On the other side of that coin, if we're just a couple of dipshits talking to cameras without knowing what the fuck we're actually talking about, give us a thumbs down. We earned it, and we won't dispute it. That being said, that's all we've got for this particular episode. So I appreciate each and every one of you for coming by. Keep your eyes peeled. Despite the Backstreet Boys trying their damnedest to ruin all the fun, we're still here. We still got shit to do. We still got shit for you guys. We still got things in the works. We're not going to give up. We ain't going nowhere. We'll make it through this shit. We'll come out on the other side of it one way or another, kicking and screaming. We'll get there. But remember, till next time, don't let ignorance stop you. You can root for anything. Unless at this point, you still haven't put together the reason that a certain island may or may not have become available with infrastructure ready to be built. Local domestic population, far enough away from other people.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kids were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening.